All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for RWBY Volume 6, Chapter 8. All right, so we've got the crew going to the Atlas military outpost at Argus.
Yes,
and
but they're having some difficulties.
Yeah, they're getting stonewalled at the gate. So I guess the question is are they going to interact with someone like Winter, potentially?
Right, what's going to happen here?
Someone that could basically get them through this whole thing. Is Crow gonna have to pull some professional huntsman thing?
Right.
Are we just gonna have to grab Weiss and basically be like, we have Weiss? You know,
she needs
let
to
us
get
in.
back home.
Yeah. I wonder how Weiss would feel about that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she would be okay if she was, kind of in control of how that whole thing went down.
I'm sure she would be. Yeah.
But other than that, we've got this potential sabotage thing going on in the background at Argus, so dangers could be coming there pretty soon. So guys, it's getting into kind of the mellow zone, but it could be
that's
brought
probably
right
just
back
a lull
up
into like false sense of security. Yeah.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's get into this.
This is how the war begins.
Oh.
All wings engaged. Interceptors.
They keep adding new little aspects of the Genlock footage.
I love it.
Contact, hostile net attack.
Shit.
Still your cockpits, do not engage.
Okay, what is
Not a
that
skirmish.
cloud stuff?
This is not airspace confusion. This is not a terrorist action. This is it. The Union's making their play.
Cool.
All right.
I like this tidbit trickling of teasing footage. It's pretty good.
The queen at the front.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I've always wondered what that comic was he's reading. It's Atlas.
I think it's a Genlock thing.
I think it just says Atlas on the front. Yeah. I mean, the color scheme is kind of Genlock-esque, but yeah. It's been a while since we've seen you, Adam. Where have you been?
Yeah.
If you're not gonna hunt people's, PTSD dreams, like, what are you good for? Like, Will Lion Tower.
Oh wow. You've probably noticed this already, but the covers for the stands were Neo's color scheme.
Oh.
Pink and brown.
Yeah. I didn't notice that. I actually went to like other channels and stuff, and they were like saying it's like 100% confirmed it was a Neo thing because of things like that. So you're right to catch on to that, but that was something I never myself caught on to actually. Lots of awesome people in the RWBY community that like come up with theories and notice little small things. And that shot, yeah. Oh yeah. Keep moving forward. Okay.
Come on! You didn't even hear us out!
Our orders are clear. The Mistral Atlas border is
What are
closed.
those outfits?
Please, have a good day.
But-
A good day!
Hey,
Oh,
if you don't
oh
want
my
to
God.
believe that I'm friends with Ironwood,
General Iron.
Oh!
General Ironwood, then fine. But look, we have Weiss Schnee with us, and we're trying to get her home safely.
Cool. All right. Very logical.
Approach.
What are these hats, though?
Yeah, what are these
they
hats?
Literally, from straight on, they look like
And they're in
penises.
sync. In like every way.
Very well.
Where
You
were
may
they
speak with
looking?
our
They weren't
commanding
looking at her
officer.
face.
We will fetch her at once.
Tell me it's Winter.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
They were kind of...
Super weird? Yeah.
What's wrong?
Well, I may know this commanding officer.
Oh.
That's good, isn't it? If she's your friend, then maybe she'd be more willing to help us.
I wouldn't exactly call us friends.
Oh.
Acquaintances?
Not quite.
Colleagues?
Former.
Enemies?
That's the one.
Ah!
What?
Yes, I come through here about once every 10 years to get my eyes checked up in Atlas.
Ah.
You bring outside cashews on one flight, and suddenly you're placed on the additional screening list for life.
You've gotta be kidding me.
Now, let's not give up hope yet.
Is this a comedy episode? Like,
Maybe she's dead.
ah, yes, it's a comedy episode.
Okay, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Introducing Special Operative Caroline Cordovan!
Okay, not Winter.
But another Red versus Blue reference, because
Yeah.
Caroline.
And an older woman? Yes.
Witch. She-devil.
Ah! What?
I see you've chosen larger contraband to smuggle this time.
Oh, Cordo. You know, they say time changes people.
Oh,
and I
no.
see you've
Oh,
still
no.
got that stick, right?
Oh no!
Miss, Cordovan? My name is Ruby Rose, and I was wondering if you would hear us out about...
I've already heard what your other little friends had to say. Miss Rose. What are you doing back here? I thought I told you to leave!
And I told you we wouldn't rest until you let us through!
Oh my god!
You civilians are clearly incapable of comprehending the importance of our mission here in August. So allow me to say this slowly with smaller words. This base, that relay tower, the very safety of Argus are all gifts from the glorious kingdom of Atlas. And it is my
Oh my
duty
God.
to uphold them as only I have the wit and tenacity for such a task.
Such wit! Such tenacity!
Oh my god!
Or maybe
This is
Atlas
so
just wanted
funny.
to get you as far from the kingdom as possible.
Yeah,
You're
exactly
just like
that.
the rest of these Argus ingrates. This city wouldn't even be here if it weren't for our Elysian
I love all the
ancestors.
gesticulating.
And what do
Yes.
we get in return? The entire world is ready to put a knife to our throats.
Please, we know your kingdom had nothing to do with the fall of Beacon. We were there.
No one's happy about the Atlas borders or embargo, but I know General Ironwood is just worried. It's why we need to talk to
The general is no coward. Atlas is strong. If all the kingdoms plan to make us their enemy, then so be it. Atlas will prevail.
Atlas will prevail!
Oh my
Do you guys
gosh.
seriously have to do that?
If Miss Schnee has truly come to her senses and wishes to return to her family, then of course the Atlas military
Wow.
will escort her home.
I wonder what they've been saying
Hello.
about
But the kingdom
Weiss.
will not be responsible for her friends of questionable character.
Oof. Oof.
Because she has to be
What's that
racist,
supposed to
too.
mean?
It means we're done here.
I mean, that entire thing was comedy, you know. That
Oh,
was,
yeah.
Well, your base looks like a big dumb boot.
Way to show her, Nora.
Now I want a full pan view of the base, see if it does look like a boot.
Don't, Weiss. I told you we wouldn't leave your side for a second. We'll find a way to Atlas. Together.
Because don't you know...
You never split the party.
So, where are we going now?
Yeah, what's the plan?
Other than the bar.
The plan? The plan just got shut on our face 3 times over. I'm going for a drink.
That was 3 times.
Yeah.
Uncle Crow, I really think we should try and come up with something together.
What's his problem? It's not your fault we can't go on.
If he's gonna be a jerk, then we'll just come up with something without him.
That's true.
I
Yep.
mean, we've got Ozpin with us. He usually knows what
Oh!
to do.
Oh! Ah! Yeah, about that! About that!
What is
Yeah.
it?
John!
Everything we did was for nothing!
That's not true.
Really? Because it sure does sound like it.
If Salem can't be killed, then how are we supposed to win this?
Wow. Great plan, everyone.
Look, none of this is great, we know. But we're not the bad guys here.
Are we sure about that?
What?
He's in your head, isn't he? Did you already know about this?
He didn't know any of it!
Oh, no,
How much
no,
longer
no.
can we even trust him?
John!
How do we even know it's really him? What if we've been talking to that liar this whole time?
John!
Oh. Yeah. RWBY, good job. Remember, he's a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good. They need time too.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think it would be best if we had some time to ourselves.
Didn't you just have that?
No, with this information. Team RWBY needed it as well.
Yeah.
They're just
Maybe
on
we
the
could
other end of
all
a
use
week
some
of
space.
kind of processing it.
That's right. So split the party. Woohoo!
No, they're staying together. They're just needing some time to process. Ooh, who's
Oh,
she
she
calling?
calling?
Come on, please.
Nice. Crow, gotcha.
Oh,
okay.
gotcha.
Where are you?
You know, I came out here to avoid the yelling.
Sorry. The others went to get food for tonight.
Why not go with them?
I don't
can't
know.
wait for these two to like.
I don't know anything. What do I tell Jean and his team when we don't even have a plan?
The mentor and the student.
Crow's out drinking.
Yeah.
Osmond hasn't come back, and even if he did, I don't know if I could trust him. And there's always Jin, but
The details.
we only have one more question we can ask her.
So tranquil.
I feel like I'm letting everyone down.
You know, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Oh, thanks.
That wasn't a compliment.
What?
If I have to explain it to you, it'll just defeat the purpose. But if you're tired of not knowing anything, how about we discuss those eyes of yours?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I would be honored.
Sit back down, for Pete's sake.
Oh.
Let's start with what you do
Cool.
know. Tell me.
Silver-eyed people are supposed to be legendary warriors. Or something. And at the Fall of Beacon, I turned a giant wyvern into stone.
Oh boy.
Look, if I already knew everything, I wouldn't be asking for help.
Yelling. It's not your fault. I had my father to teach me.
Oh.
And even
okay.
he didn't have all the answers. But what he
What
told
happened
me
to your
makes
mother?
sense, given what I've seen.
Was he a huntsman too?
It wasn't really an official title back in his day. I only knew him as an old soldier and an excellent teacher. I never attended one of those fancy academies of yours, but I scored higher on the license exam than any other huntsman or huntress that day.
You must have been proud.
He would have scolded me for showing off. He'd never been able to find much information about our abilities. Just legends of warriors whose eyes shone like mirrors, reflecting the light of the world onto darkness.
Well,
He found so little, in fact, that it made him cautious. How could such powerful bloodlines be so rare? Unless something was actively seeking to destroy them.
Salem.
I tried to keep my powers a secret, but as you know, it wasn't enough. I owe my life to my training and my semblance. At the end of the day, those are still your most powerful tools.
What is your semblance?
Reflexes! A silly name I came up with. Hard to explain,
Okay.
but I can sense everything better than most and react to attacks almost before they happen.
Whoa.
Combine that with my training and secret
Spidey
ability
sense.
to turn Grimm
Yeah.
to
Jedi
stone,
senses.
or blind them, or vaporize them. And that's how you become the Grimm Reaper.
So,
Sure, the full package.
how do I laser beam monsters with my eyeballs?
First, you stop thinking like that. I want you to think of all the times you've triggered your powers. What did those moments have in common?
I was scared and stressed Is it emotional? Like unlocking a semblance?
It's emotional, but more focused than that. Think. What is
She was
it
wanting
you
to
wanted?
save people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to protect my friends.
Precisely. It is the desire to preserve life which fuels the light inside you. And make no mistake, it is light. Preservation is an extension of creation. Or, at the very least, an enemy of destruction.
Okay.
The god
The
of light.
creatures of Grimm were
Right.
made by the god of darkness. But your light comes from his brother.
Cool.
How do you know that?
I always knew how to use the light, but never why it only worked on the Grimm.
Oh.
Then Jin showed us her vision.
Yeah.
Were you paying attention?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Cool.
The god of light. His eyes. Okay, where do we start?
Everyone in the city, like, what?
Well, not here.
Oh, okay, good.
The light will only work in the presence of Grimm.
Okay.
Meaning the only practice you'll get will be a trial by fire.
Awesome.
But what you can do is focus on creating a state of mind that you can tap into when you need it. Don't think about your light as a
That's a
means
really
of
cool shot.
destroying evil,
Yeah.
but as a way to protect the people of Remnant.
But that can't be right. You said the light only reacts to Grimm, but I used it during our battle at Haven.
Oh.
It reacted to Cinder.
Yeah, because she's got a Grimm inside her.
Perhaps there was something that you just weren't seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Ruby!
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I've been telling you guys for the longest time. She has the
going on?
Grimm bug inside of her.
It's Oscar. He's missing.
Well, crap. Party is officially split.
Yep.
Crap.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. So we've got the party essentially all ready to make their next move, but they need to
Whatever that ends up
process and kind of overcome the issues of
Right.
what's been brought up this season, which has been a lot.
That comedy was unexpected, though. Gotta
That
say.
comedy was very, very over the top. Like, hey, it does kind of look like a boot. Kinda. Okay,
right.
so very mellow episode.
Yes.
I mean, not necessarily mellow in terms of emotion. We
Yeah,
had
there
the whole
were
thing
a
with
lot of strong emotions this episode, but
Oscar, Pin, and
Right.
Jean.
but as far as plot goes, it was very mellow. You know?
Very mellow. In
like-
fact, they really wanted that comedy scene with the Elysian military to be like very over the top, and it was something that I'm like, all right, like this is really like really funny in the moment and stuff, but like I think actually thinking back on it,
kind of jarring.
it's kind of jarring.
And, it's really cringy for one.
It's really cringy, but the thing is,
yeah.
cringy can be funny.
Cringy can be funny.
Cringy
And
can be funny.
And the fact that they had it be a totally new character, not Winter or something like that. If
Totally.
they had had it be
No,
Winter,
they would-
that would have been no.
No. But also the plot would have expedited if
Yes,
Winter was there.
exactly.
And I think it is something that I think as a world that they're in, it is a bit convenient to have Winter just be there.
Right.
So what
it makes
might,
more sense that she wouldn't be.
Right. What it might be is that Winter was recalled back. Remember when in Volume 5, Weiss was being talked to by the bandits, and they were saying that Ironwood recalled all of his special people and stuff. So your sister's not in, Mistral anymore. Not in the continent of Anima. So what that probably is that she was at Argus, or reporting back and forth to Argus, but she probably took a ship or took a plane or something like that back to Atlas a while ago. So they have this basically this nobody here who is probably exactly like Maria was saying, just put as far away from the kingdom as possible because
I'm
she's just
very glad that they brought that up because that's what we're thinking this entire time of like, okay, this person takes themselves way too seriously. Why are they doing this and all that stuff? And it's the sort of almost like Dwight kind of personality to them is great.
Mid-level management that
exactly.
really cares way too much about their job.
And because
the glory of Atlas.
And because they're in this backwater place, they don't have anyone to oversee them to sort of keep them in line,
right.
so they just sort of do whatever they want. And the fact, like, the part where she was talking and then the flag started billowing behind her, like...
That reminds me of Sarge back in
great.
Red vs. Blue when he starts making his speech in Blood Gulch, and you hear Sarge singing in the background, and then the red flag comes in the background, and they're like, "Where'd that flag come from? The flag? Who cares about that? Where's the singing coming from?" And instead of having that, we have these two twin guards. Mm-hmm. Now I say twin; they're not like literal blood twins necessarily.
But it was the same voice for them.
Same voice, same look, same design. Very minimalist in terms of actual effort put into the design. But those
hats from Straight On, it looks like a dick and balls. Like
this is like some is it Fooly Cooly, the thing growing out of the forehead and stuff?
Yes.
That's basically what it made me think of.
Basically that.
And like in some ways I liked them more than I liked the actual girl that spoke, because those guys, I can see them like actually being like a running gag joke.
Oh yeah, because it's the fact that they take themselves too seriously, but it's in such an overly comical way, whereas with the lady, it was still in a comical way, but because it also had to be kind of serious because it's plot conflict,
Right.
It's not just, no, we're being this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I'm not letting you through. You guys are presenting all your arguments. No,
Right. Which kind of in some ways proves the ineffectiveness of her leadership position, because she probably can't make the call, but she's trying to pretend like, this is my choice. I will uphold the integrity of Atlas's borders by keeping such rabble like you out of here.
Or she could quite literally make the call and be like, not even to Ironwood, just to be some other person and be like, hey, there's someone here that says he knows Ironwood, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. That is a good point, though. We don't know, actually, if they can. Because remember, the tower is on the fritz.
That's true.
So what could also be happening is that they're freaking out especially, and they're trying not to make it apparent because they don't know which civilians know what.
Sure.
But if they make it clear that if the relay tower is in trouble, they're like extra scared right now.
Sure.
Because now...
Yeah, I could totally see that.
But the Tweedledee Tweedledum soldier equivalent in Atlas, I can imagine so many people just dressing up as them and going hop 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 hop.
Well, and what's
hop.
great is that the way they carry themselves, it makes it so that I can absolutely imagine. One, I could imagine them being chibi characters as an appearance.
You're a genius.
But also, I can imagine, I would say almost perfectly, their daily life and what it's like, because they're such caricatures and they're so stupid and just wholly devoted to the mighty, glorious Atlas. That I almost can see their childhood. I can see all those things where it's like I can't really, but because they're such caricatures, it's just like, oh yeah, it's there. You know it's there.
You know it's there for sure.
And while that would be a horrible use of screen time to show it,
yes,
I feel like it's basically just food for the fan artists out there to basically just be like, yes, name these two nobodies. And then
I don't see them being a fan art kind of thing because their design is so boring and simple. I see more the thing of like you're saying the backstory thing, the fan fiction.
Exactly.
More or
what
less
it was like when they were growing up and what their parents
because they have no names. They have no names.
Oh yeah,
they're just guard 1 and guard 2. But
and
the thing
they're
is,
probably like twin brothers. Actually,
I mean,
let's be real.
In before they're actually robots.
Oh. That would be dark.
See, that would be the real twist.
They're rejected robot models that basically weren't able to fully adapt to become like people.
No, they're some of the best robot models because they actually look like people.
Sure.
But the thing is that they're a model. they're all the same
Right.
model, so they all
Yes.
act and say everything exactly the same. That's
Naturally.
why when they bent over and they're like looking at Weiss's boobs, basically, they're actually doing a scan of sorts
Sure.
to identify that this is
Because the scan
specifically-
comes out of the phallic
exactly.
part of the hat. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
all
absolutely.
power proceeds from the phallic forehead object.
That's
That
right.
is how it works.
Yes.
That is how it do.
And one of the parts that I absolutely loved about that was how when they stood back up, they sort of like.
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if we heard that tweet, 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 tweet when they were moving and stuff.
That probably would have been a bit too literal for people, and then it'd be like,
Yeah,
wait a minute,
a bit
what?
too much. So, okay, we have the whole thing with Jin, Ozpin, the gods being told to Team Juniper. Now, Crow at this point is basically like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like that was the third strike for him, and he's out. And by telling Team Juniper, we kind of do something that is necessary for the story, but it does basically say, okay, now we need to take this episode to breathe, because if we remember back to episodes, 4 essentially, Team RWBY needed time to breathe, but they had Maria. Team Juniper hasn't met really Maria.
Right.
They don't really know anything about her, so she wasn't. They didn't have her there to basically be like, hey, snap to it.
Right.
We need to survive. And because they're in a safe place and they need to just figure it out, one of the things that might end up expediting their they're all working together is the need to survive.
Right.
So
if,
I
say,
predict
Argus got attacked.
Yes. So I predict that very soon, either Argus is getting attacked or Argus is getting infiltrated by someone like Cinder, Neo, Adam, someone like that.
Sure.
And then it'll end up being a urban fight of some kind, like some
and that would
kind
be
of inner
fantastic.
city encounter, and that would be pretty cool.
One of the things that watching this episode with, because it got kind of not, I'm not sure if I want to say melodramatic, because it makes sense. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's been happening, but there's a lot of conflict that's happening with the characters where they're just sort of not getting along. It's sort of bickering amongst the party.
Right.
And I really wanted either Maria or maybe RWBY wouldn't be like this now, but maybe later, possibly, if this continues, to just basically say, all right, everyone that's got issues with this, just leave for right now, go to another room. When you're ready to contribute, come back. The rest of us are actually going to plan and be helpful and useful. So, all right, bye, thank you, okay, cool.
Right, I think what it would have been, the initial retort would have been that was like, but you don't have a plan. It's like, yes,
and that's why we're going to make one.
Plan.
So go away. You know.
And I think that's something that RWBY with the more assertiveness would definitely do.
Right,
I think
but
that's
Maria could definitely maybe do it.
But I also think Maria is in the same instance that they are. She's old. She's retired, effectively.
Sure, and she's not necessarily fighting the same fight as them. She's helping RWBY, but yeah.
Yeah, I think now she might have a little bit more kind of purpose and motivation to go about with this.
Right.
So we have the whole talk with Maria and RWBY, and that's probably something that, like, you can feel them basically saying, all right, we're giving you what you want, fans.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those silver eyes. And RWBY's like surprised, like, oh yes, and to kind of showcase that RWBY doesn't think like that. And then they also added in some cool, like, RWBY wasn't like, anticipating, like, wanting to learn more about her silver eyes, which, okay, cool.
Although she did want to shoot lasers.
Well, that was after she, kind of realizes that she can learn more about that.
Right.
Which, them tying it to the God of Light, I really like.
Yeah.
Them tying it also to not a thing that actually is just for the purpose of destroying Grimm, but it's something tied to just the aspect of the powers that the God of Light has, which, were creation and just basically life itself, or light, if you will. And what I like about that is they called them mirrors, which, there's been, I don't know if you've been kind of keeping up to date with this, but there have been a lot of specific hints about the whole mirrors thing, like long before this.
Oh, okay.
So this is something that's like a really cool confirmation that that's like actually a thing now.
Okay.
Like, it's actually a part of it. Do you feel the vibe that the Silver Eye powers are essentially now being put into play as the only thing that they really have in their fight against Salem? Because if it is actually tied to the God of Light's power, that supersedes Salem.
Yes.
It does.
Uh-huh.
It does.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not something that necessarily right now could just kill Salem or even hurt her. But
maybe
it might actually purify the Grimm parts.
Exactly.
That, and maybe it's been too long.
But maybe not. And the thing is that since...
Maybe it'd be enough to stun her, CC her or something.
Sure, yeah, they could nihilus it.
Yeah.
They could also do something where since Salem didn't choose to become Salem.
No, she tried
to kill herself, right?
Yeah.
So, if it were to purify Salem, that could essentially defeat her because then she stops being an enemy.
Right, because some part of her... And that's
she regains her humanity, basically.
Yeah, we don't know how interwoven that is at this point.
Yeah, and there's not really
years.
any way of knowing because
not really.
That's not something that they would ever address or talk about until it actually
like
became
the
a question
very
of,
end,
is it going to work?
The very end of the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we would probably only have that once Ruby actually uses her silver eyes on Salem, and then it'd be like, okay, does it work or not? But
hey, it's a shot. It's a shot in the dark. Them having this conversation as sensei and student, I really like that because Maria comes across sometimes as pretty jaded, and yet there's this, I would say, this rigidness to her, to where, yes, she had a point maybe where she was jaded, but it's more like she just accepted the reality of the world.
Yeah.
And now it's just like she knows what she knows, she believes what she believes, and that can't be moved or shaken anymore.
Right. And the fact that it's kind of cool because I feel like this might be one of the reasons that she's following with them now before she found out about the Silver Eyes and stuff. Okay, they're huntsmen, whatever. But I feel like this also might be them bringing up the whole idea of the power of the honest soul.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
Because it's about saving people's hearts, right? Which is what everyone needs right now.
Yeah.
Maria might have already gotten it, right? But everyone else in Team Ruby and Team Juniper, they need it. Crow needs it. And if the whole thing, if that is their one weapon against Salem, then, and they could save Salem's heart, well, there you go.
Yep. It kind of all ties in pretty well with Ruby's character development that they're trying to do now.
Yes.
Which is cool because, hey, Ruby characterization. I mean,
we ship her with character development.
We've been like waiting for this for a while, and this is, we're at this point with Ruby where her character has been for the most part so singular in terms of dimensions that now this is, I would say, a form of characterization and character development because she's getting, I would say she's getting a little disillusioned with the quest, the goal, Ozpin, huntresses, huntsmen,
Crow,
all these things that she's kind of trusted in so far.
Yeah.
But she's holding on to, I think, her own her own vision of what she's meant to be, and that's kind of keeping her strong. But I think she needs Maria's rigidness and that strength to be able to have confrontations with people like Jean when they step out of line like that. And that's good for a lead main character leader because they need to be able to confidently make decisions even if they're not 100% sure it's the best decision.
Right. Because, doing something rather than nothing.
Yeah.
Because when everything was going well and they were at Beacon, I feel like it was a lot easier for Ruby to lead because of her just sort of zany, high energy-ness, right?
Right, and a lack of consequences for most
of her actions.
consequences
for most of the actions, exactly. So she could just say, hey, let's go this way, and they could do it, and it was fine.
Yeah.
But now that Penny and Pyrrha are dead, killed right in front of her, and everything that happened with Yang and all of that stuff, she's become a lot less assertive, right? So she's generally a lot quieter about things, and not calling people out on their.
Yeah, she's coming back to that now.
She's coming back to that now a little bit, but it's tentative, right?
True.
She didn't say, "Hey, Jean, snap out of it."
Yeah.
What are you doing?
She just kind of yelled Jean because that's
right.
It's all
and
she's
that's
really willing to do.
And that's one of the other things that I feel like, I think you said this, that she could learn from Maria.
Yeah.
In addition to the Silver Eyes stuff, which is great because then you're taking character development and actual plot moving power, and joining them and conveying them to our main character.
It's a very tried and true trick, so keep going with it. I think that the idea of them also saying we can't just train this whenever is a very clever way to say, hey, it's cool that I can tell you stuff,
right?
But I'm like almost as in the dark as you are.
Exactly.
I just have the experience of actually using it, so I can tell you what's generally the right angle you should be looking at this whole thing in order to use it when it's time to use it. But the big thing also just doesn't even tie to RWBY. They're straight up confirming the whole, Grimm in Cinder thing.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because there was a dragon there, a wyvern. I like that they called it a wyvern.
A wyvern was awesome, yeah.
Yeah. Because there are differences.
There are very big differences.
It was still over there. It wasn't like super close necessarily,
What are you
but
talking
about? when she ended up using her Silver Eyes for the first time on the tower.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about Cinder.
No, I know, but they brought up the whole thing of like, but there wasn't a Grimm there, and it's like, well, the wyvern was kind of over there.
I'm talking about Volume 5. That's what she's talking about. That's what RWBY's talking about.
Well, no. That wasn't what she was talking about.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. That's you're right. That is what I meant to say as well.
Yeah,
it's both because the important thing is the Silver Eyes affected Kevin. Right.
Yes.
It affected Kevin.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah, I totally forgot about in Volume 5. Yes.
But in Volume 5, they reacted to Cinder again.
Right.
But
and there were no Grimm at that time.
There were no Grimm at that point because she has the Grimm. But people, I think, might conflate it to be, well, it's just the Grimm arm. But you're 100% right, and I'm sorry for jumping on you right there. But in Volume 3, Cinder hurt her eye.
Yeah.
And all this because of the Silver Eyes. And I think that people aren't probably necessarily going to jump onto that immediately, but that means that when
it's more than just an arm.
It's more than just an arm.
Yeah.
She has an actual Grimm inside her.
Yeah.
And it's been inside her for a long time.
Right.
And I think that in a lot of ways that is what we're kind of getting a final explanation on one of the weirdest moments in all of RWBY, which was the glove being put on, then the bug spectorating its black goo over Amber.
Because I could see how that would happen of a magical glove that Salem gives her that is for extracting the maiden's powers. But how would it go to Cinder is the question, right? Because if it just draws them out and they go somewhere, cool. But why would they go to Cinder? Wouldn't they go to the Grimm? And how is there a connection between the Grimm and Cinder? She's just wearing a glove, right? It's something that she can take off anytime she wants, right?
Yeah. Something tells me that they were wanting to be subtle about it this whole time, and the biggest hint I would say for all of this was, if you think about this in timeline wise, Volume 3 happens, right?
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, as the writers, with Miles and Carrie, they have to start seeding the entire story from here on out.
Sure. Yep.
Because the Volume 1 through 3 arc of Beacon is kind of its own enclosed story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that happen in there that tie out to future things and stuff, but it's very vague and loose and stuff. And a lot of it is very good foreshadowing. But
then the Silver Eyes happen, and we see Salem for the first time.
Yeah, and suddenly the whole story opens up.
Yeah.
But when we see Cinder again, she can't speak. She's missing an eye.
Yep.
She has all these problems and stuff. And it's not immediately revealed because of the way her cloth comes over
of the Grimm arm.
Of the Grimm arm. But in like the early episodes of Volume 4, there's a part where Salem has her hand like this, and Cinder's arm is like down like this, and it's going this kind of noises and stuff, and she's like, don't fight it. You must make it fear you.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's an actual, literal, like parasite Grimm,
yes,
you know?
Because, okay, arm, cool. Eyes and throat are far away from the arm.
Very far away from the arm.
Like,
yeah.
So,
and it's something that I think confused a lot of people when they were saying like, oh, it's because of Cinder's newfound power that,
right,
she's
it's like, oh, so it's the maidens, gotcha.
No, it's not the maidens. It's the fact that I think this is what they're hinting at, that all this time the maiden power is being hosted, co-hosted, if you will, by Cinder and the Grimm inside Cinder. So that if any time Cinder steps out of line, does something that she does that Salem doesn't want, it could be like a really nasty tick, and it just explodes in her and just
eats her brain, whatever,
inside out, dies. And also on a even like simpler, more like less violent note, it could just leave her and take the power to Salem,
and then that would truly be a Cinder alone episode.
And that's not something really that far-fetched now that we look at where Cinder is as a character.
Sure. And also where the maiden powers came from.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And and I love how that whole thing is explained of why doesn't Salem take the maiden powers, because there's the idea of, okay, maybe it couldn't be transferred or whatever, but also it's like, no, she has better,
Yeah.
like
yeah. But here's the other thing that's really cool here. I want to talk about this foreshadowing a bit, quite a lot, because one of the things that for RWBY is that RWBY has limited information.
Yes, absolutely.
The Volume 3 incident with Cinder, she's not even thinking about that right here. RWBY's not.
Nope.
We as the audience are, because we have third-person omniscient perspective of everything, so we can see more or less kind of what's going on outside of the main character's perspective. But RWBY still reacts to it because they chose to have the Silver Eyes be utilized in Volume 5 at a place where, Cinder was, so that she could react to it.
Right.
Now, because RWBY knows that, she knows she has this weapon against Cinder when Cinder is hunting her literally right now. So one of the trials by fire, which, who uses fire in it? Cinder.
Yeah.
Did you not catch that foreshadowing bit?
That was very on the nose.
That was very on the nose, and I'm like, oh, that's genius.
Yeah. Well,
but I think it's clever because they did the trial by fire bit before RWBY was like, wait a minute.
Right. So now RWBY can be like, oh, Cinder, good.
Just saying, like, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Yep.
The other bit, and this is something that I'm sure you caught as well, but she's like, don't think of it as a way to destroy evil, but to protect the people of Redmond. Now, Cinder killed Pyrrha. Cinder's actions orchestrated the deaths of Penny.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if Cinder shows up and maybe ambushes RWBY alone? Like, they really get a good way to make this work. And Neo, like, distracts the rest of them or whatever.
Sure.
And then Neo, like, jumps in. It's like a 2v1, like, Roman Neo versus RWBY.
Or it's just RWBY and Maria, maybe,
Sure. But because RWBY knows that works that way, what if RWBY's like, protecting people sounds a bit... sounds like a bit too high of a road for me to walk. And then she just, boom, just uses them and over and over and over again. Like, making Cinder, like, regret what she did,
and that's one of the things that would be kind of tough, because...
It'd be very tough.
When Maria talked about it, she was like, that's not how these work, right? So it's fueled by the desire to protect, right? But the desire to protect can go very dark and twisted.
It can go very dark and twisted.
And especially if RWBY is exercising how to put on that emotional state.
Yep.
Then, I could absolutely see something like that happening. Now, did you...
Putting on a state of mind is not as hard as people, I think, would make it out to be.
Now, here's my question for you:
Ooh,
did
yeah.
you make the connection between basically another Zuko alone? Zuko scene of, yeah, but I'm not going to shoot lightning at you. Like,
are you crazy? Lightning is very dangerous.
Yeah. You're lucky you will
I
never
didn't
have
catch
to use
that.
this technique
I didn't
at
catch
all.
that because there was no danger to Ruby to use the Silver Eyes, and that was one of the.
Well, it's just that it has to be in defense of like Grimm.
Totally. I just made the connection of that because one of the theories that's been going around the community a lot was that Silver Eyes damages you or hurts you in some way if you use it too much or
Gotcha.
if you use it at all because it's just raw, in this case, God power.
Right.
And here's another thing. They're mentioning the whole idea of bloodlines again.
Yeah.
Who did the God of Light bang in order to put silver-eyed warriors into the world, right? It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
But what if it was? What if it has nothing actually to do
God of Light
with the God of Light's
life.
all like that? It's actually just the God of Light's power. Now,
okay.
This is a theory that I think is something that is not new.
I mean,
everyone's been talking about this, but Salem and Ozpin married and had kids.
Yes.
What if some of the kids or one of the kids survived? And that created the silver-eyed warrior bloodline. This is not a new theory. This is something that the fandom is very much thinking about because I think they were looking at some of the kids' eyes very closely, and I think one or some of them had silver eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Well, then I would say if it showed them as having silver eyes,
But the
then
thing
I would
is,
say that's
right.
totally,
but the thing is,
for
there's
sure.
random civilians sometimes in the streets of RWBY that'll have silver eyes, or
really?
eyes that they think are silver, but it's no, they're probably just gray, and that's part of the thing that's.
That's
it's a limited thing of the medium by which we are watching RWBY.
Well, and gray eyes, that is something that exists.
Oh yeah,
right?
lots of people have gray eyes.
So
yeah,
so it's are these gray or are these silver? Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
So I don't put much stock in the theory, but now that they're mentioning this whole thing as a bloodline,
yeah,
I don't like the idea of it being a bloodline. Because there's certain inferred rules with regards to powers passed along a bloodline, kind of like the Shnees in particular, with their semblance being hereditary. Also, it just kind of makes it seem like they're trying to all along, Ozpin, I am your great so on and so forth, father.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Suddenly, the RWBY Oscar shipping gets a lot weirder than it already was.
Or it's something really weird and gross where you realize that Ozpin, if one of the kids actually got away from the carnage of that fight at their house and stuff, that they essentially would end up creating the Genghis Khan equivalent, scenario where it's everyone is 0.001% Ozpin and Salem.
Except they said, I'm sure that the Silver Eyes gene is a dominant gene, and they said that silver-eyed people are rare. So I mean that could be.
Well, I think they said powerful bloodlines. They didn't go into the actual literal thing of what that means necessarily.
Well, okay,
because they could be referring to the power within the bloodline or the bloodline itself, like you said, having a dominant gene.
But
yeah, great.
But
yeah,
if there was a true Genghis Khan story here, then it's randomly a whole bunch of other people have silver eyes too, and then Salem's screwed. But
well, yeah, it's not even really at that point Ozpin and Salem's kid necessarily. It could be just the fact that Ozpin's had bazillion lives,
exactly,
and probably has a lot of kids.
The seed is strong with this one, yeah.
Yeah. It could be a recessive gene then. That's why it would show up very infrequently.
But it needs to get passed along as well. So okay, this is one of the things though. They talked about bloodlines. And they Maria talked about how her father had silver eyes.
Didn't say that. She basically just said she learned about it from her father. But it's not, and I'm with you, but it's not 100% confirmed that her father had silver eyes.
I'm pretty sure she said exactly that, but okay, regardless, that if he knows about silver eyes, then he probably is a silver-eyed warrior, because otherwise, why would he know about it?
He knows other people that have silver eyes.
But they're super rare. Anyways,
but this was 100.
anyways.
Okay.
This brings up again the whole idea of Summer and the potential backstory there, because, and again, it's one of those questions where it's like you expect Ruby to ask about it, but, you know, in classic Ruby fashion, she doesn't. But that's just another touch on that subject. We could be getting backstory, you know, for Team Stark potentially in the semi-near future.
Yeah, I think there's always some good reasons out there to why you could give Team Stark backstory, but until Tai-Yang, Raven, and Crow are all in the same room, I don't think there's any actual reason to do it. There's any definitive reason to do it.
Sure, not for the entire team. They could potentially give
just Summer backstory when you get Ozpin and Ruby in the same room together again.
Yeah.
And maybe with Maria. That would be a cool triumvirate, kind of a cool trio of just like, hey, let's talk about the Silver Eyes because this might be our way to stop Salem. And then Ozpin might go, yeah, I already tried that. That was Summer. It didn't work.
Right.
And I think that's probably what we're gonna find out eventually. Is that, yeah, we tried the Silver Eyed thing.
It wasn't effective.
It didn't do anything.
Right.
He's like, what we need more so is for humanity to have hope. And he's like, that actually might be the thing that's a really dark kind of way for the show to go. Is that it's not about defeating evil. Evil will always be there. We can't stop that.
Okay.
But we can come together as a people, as humanity, as humanity and Faunus, and be stronger and learn lessons over time because of that.
Okay.
There's a lot of urgency, I think, that fantasy shows like this like to put as to the evil needing to be defeated in the hero's lifetime, because that's why we're telling this story. This is the story of the heroes that defeat the great evil.
Exactly.
And it's very bold to insinuate in these types of fantasy stories that the heroes can't win. Like that's something that most stories don't do. So they could go all the way and just say it's not about winning, you know.
So where's the dark aspects of that? Because I can see how it could be told in sort of a downer, depressing way, but
is that, you know, Ruby will, you know, live her life and die, and humanity might not learn the mistakes. It's very Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
In that, you know, we can defeat the big bad because he's not God. He was just some being trying to mess with powers and stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual, you know, evil and everything is never going to be defeated. It's more about humanity just struggling and learning lessons through it. Kind of in the same way that Hohenheim is kind of like the Ozpin of that story.
Right.
And Ozpin needs to basically realize that maybe it's not about, you know, all of this crazy, you know, great power and all that. It's about the smaller, more honest souls leading humanity through darkness and just shining their light than actually like trying to find the source of the darkness and defeat it.
Sure. Yeah.
I would say that's the not necessarily super dark, but kind of the not Lord of the Rings black and white style.
Right, not high fantasy.
Not high fantasy.
Super rose petals happy ending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things that the whole aspect of the Silver Eyes brings up. And if they're willing to go more in depth into it over the course of the volume, then hey, good stuff.
More power to them.
Yeah. But good catch on the reminding me about the Volume 3 connection to Cinder, because yes, Kevin was there, but that doesn't automatically just say that now this damages people. It's like, no, wait a minute.
Well, and thanks for reminding me about the Volume 5 thing, because I was like, what are they talking about?
Right.
That doesn't seem right. Unless they know, like, this
two.
has a range of 60 feet. If no Grimm are within 60 feet, then it doesn't trigger. It's like, well, okay. But,
well, like, that's the crazy thing, is that's how they seeded in for the characters to learn about it, because Ruby knows about Cinder, but doesn't know everything about Cinder that we know.
Right.
And now be some crazy things that come of that when Cinder confronts Ruby. So yeah. Anything else?
Nope. I liked the comedy. I hope that this calmness doesn't last too long. Same thing with the general bickering amongst the party. Since we finally got them back together, I would like that to be a positive experience.
Maybe one more episode of any kind of melodrama.
Yeah, because by the showing end of them solving it, of course,
by the end of the episode, probably next week, let's have a little bit of a direction in mind.
Yeah.
And I get that it's realistic and stuff,
but we don't go to stories for 100% realism.
Exactly.
So, after all, this is RWBY. We have weapons that are also guns and things like that. So
I do like how they also in this episode spent some time showing us really close up Maria Calavera's cane. Now that we know what it is exactly, and that she still has it. She still has one of them.
Yes.
Now we don't know if she has the second one like somewhere hidden in
right, and it could actually be something different than those weapons and how they were back then, because whatever. But
it looks pretty.
But it's got the skull and everything,
and it's got the actual metal notch on the back to where the blade could transform back out of it. So.
Yes, it does.
All right, guys. This is a good episode. Good characterization for RWBY. Really wacky comedy. And looking forward to the next episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Watching the end of the discussion here. If you want to see the next episode's reaction, we do timer-based reactions on Patreon, so check out the link in the description below for that. Any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about stories, about RWBY episodes as they come out, or whatever. Anything that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.